From a nerve-wracking video of a British Airways flight nearly losing control while landing in strong wind, to the frightening moment a vintage World War II bomber crash lands in the ocean during an air show, here are 5 of the most dangerous plane landings ever caught on camera. Everyone loves a good up and down flight. Instead of taking the nearly 10-hour drive from Aberdeen to London, UK drivers can opt for an 80-minute flight connecting the two cities. It's quick, cheap, and pretty routine for anyone living on either end of the UK. However, for passengers on board British Airways Flight 1307, the up-and-down trip was anything but. What started as a routine flight nearly ended in catastrophe when the pilot bounced off the runway and aborted the landing altogether. Aviation enthusiast Jerry Dyer caught the exact moment when the back of the plane literally kissed the runway.
Oh, he's got this one. He's lucky. He's got this one. Yeah, he's got that. Easy.
It's hard to tell what caused the plane so much trouble. However, if you were in the UK in the winter of 2022, you'd understand what happened. A low-pressure system named Storm Scarry brought 90-mile-per-hour winds to the UK, causing massive power surges across England and Scotland. Scarry even claimed 2 lives after knocking over some trees in Aberdeen and Staffordshire. The storm almost knocked this Airbus off kilter, but the skilled pilot was able to recover and make a safe landing in the end. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but they all got a good scare. Meanwhile, Jerry got some high-octane content for his live stream. About an hour's drive east of Orlando is the sunny town of Cocoa Beach, Florida. The vacation hotspot is known for its great weather and for being just south of the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. If you're lucky enough to be there in the spring, you might catch a 2-day air show displaying modern and vintage military planes. On Saturday, April 17th of 2021, beachgoers got more than they bargained for, though, when one of the planes crash-landed into the ocean right in front of them. Swimmers were quick to rush out of the water as the plane came in, even though nobody was in its immediate path. An investigation found that the vintage World War II torpedo bomber suffered a mechanical issue mid-flight. Thankfully, the pilot walked away without a scratch. Though, we can't say the same for the plane. The saltwater-logged aircraft sat in the sand until Sunday morning. Since they couldn't fly it out of there, crews planned on floating the plane 10 miles north to the Port Canaveral harbor, where they could crane lift it out of the water. The Avenger, as they call it, was sent back to its home at the Valiant Air Command Museum in Titusville, Florida. It hopefully received the repairs it needed, but probably won't take to the sky ever again. If you had to choose a place not to crash your plane, Shark Valley should be at the top of your list based on its name alone. And while you won't actually find any sharks here, don't be surprised if you cross paths with an alligator native to the Florida Everglades. Luckily for the pilots in this video, their crash landing probably scared any gators away. In 2014, a pilot and his 2 passengers experienced some engine trouble and were forced to make an emergency landing in the middle of Shark Valley. The skilled flyers remained calm under pressure, and one had the guts to record their descent into the wetlands. From what we can tell, there appears to be a nick in the right wing. Otherwise, there doesn't seem to be any more extensive damage. The Cessna plane was registered to the Pilot Training Center in Miami, Florida. However, we can't say if this was a casual flight or a training exercise. Either way, all 3 men on board learned a valuable lesson in keeping their cool during an emergency landing. The training center may want to retire this aircraft, though, as it wasn't the last time the plane would crash due to mechanical failure. In February of 2018, smoke filled the cabin of the same plane, and the pilot had to make another emergency landing. This time, they crashed in some flat Florida farmland, far from the gator-laden swamps of Shark Valley. Nobody takes the phrase "falling with style" more seriously than stunt pilots. It takes the perfect blend of courage and insanity to basically outline a roller coaster in midair. However, these crazy individuals have been around since the Wright brothers. A French pilot named Adolphe Pégoud was the first to fly upside down on September 1st, 1913. Then, Russian pilot Pyotr Nestorov executed the first loop 8 days later. Stunt flying has come a long way in the past century, culminating in one of the most impressive aerial acrobats anyone has ever seen. The pilot's name is Kent Peach, and he's been a high-flying daredevil since 1973. While he's famous in the stunt community for his endless bag of tricks, Kent's true claim to fame is when he landed his stunt plane on the back of a moving truck. Landing on moving vehicles is sort of Kent's thing. While sponsored by Jelly Bean, Kent also landed on the back of an RV and a pickup truck. Some of Kent's other tricks include a maneuver called the dead stick, where he turns off the engine and basically free falls from 6,000 feet. It was a risky stunt that, if not executed perfectly, could easily end in disaster, leaving only the best of the best willing to take on the challenge. Antalya, Turkey is a beautiful resort city on the Mediterranean coast. Large hotels line the beaches, and the harbor is full of expensive yachts. Back in June of 2018, vacationers left this small town on board a Bravo Air flight destined for Ukraine. During the flight, things were going just fine. There was really nothing out of the ordinary to explain what was about to come. It wasn't until a few seconds after the plane touched down where things took a turn for the worse, and the aircraft slid off the runway. The plane stopped in the grass off the left side of the runway, and passengers were forced down evacuation slides as the cabin filled up with smoke. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, just a little shaken up. It took 2 years to get an English translation of the accident report. However, when one finally came out in 2020, negligence was to blame. Even though passing thunderstorms made it unsafe to land, the pilot went through with it anyway. The crew also failed to deploy the wing spoilers, which are the flaps you see going up when landing. When landing, pilots must maintain what is called a stabilized approach, which basically means keep it steady. The pilot in this video wasn't very steady, even with 1,000 feet of the runway, which is mere seconds when you're landing at almost 170 miles per hour. In the end, the aircraft sustained substantial damage, but it's a miracle that everybody walked away uninjured. That's all we have for you today, but if you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thank you all for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.